Liz is back there. Rover's got the TV remote
Right there. She come over to
and the YouTube channel.
So that's probably the using that access to demobilize.
We good?
There's no work.
All right, good morning, everyone. I want to call the meeting to order and acknowledge that the press and public were duly notified of the meeting in accordance with the Freedom of Information Act. On today's agenda, we have the first order of business is to approve the previous meeting's minutes from October 8th of 2025.
So moved.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Excellent. All right, we're moving right along to Ms. Deborah Hamilton to talk about our current financial statements.
Good morning. Presenting October 31st, 2025 financial statements. Comparing them to last year, we are 46% better than we were in total assets, which are mostly cash and investments. We're all cash and investments. Our fund balance has increased by 40%, and that is, of course, due to the cash and investments. Revenue, we have received our first quarter payment from the state. That is 4% higher than it was last year this time. And we, of course, have recorded $76,000 in interest. Last year, we recorded a little bit more. The interest rate was a little bit higher last year, the same period. And for expenses, we have already started to purchase some of the capital assets that we wanted, requested in the police department. They purchased their ATV vehicle, and they have, that cost is a little bit higher because they had to upfit that ATV with the police equipment. They purchased the speed radar and trailer. So, and we've also paid for the first walkability study, and that was $3,700. Year to date, we're at 15% of our annual budget, and the last schedule, last two schedules just kind of show where we were last year this time compared to what we've received this year. So 1.4 versus 1.5, and that, like I said, that's a 4% increase over the previous year. That's all I have, sir.
Great. Thank you, Deborah. Any questions or comments from the group? All righty, we will move right along into old business. The first item is from our friends at CVB to talk about the fiscal year 2025 results.
Good morning.
Morning.
Always nice to be back on the island. The view when you come across the top of the connector never gets old. Even when it's chilly, never gets old. I'm Chris Campbell with Explore Charleston. I want to introduce a few members of the team or reintroduce you. Laurie Lynn Smith, Adam Oliarczyk, who is with our partner at Blue Ion, Kat Doherty, and Amy Calhoun. So we appreciate the opportunity to spend a little time talking about fiscal 25 and a recap of the work we did on behalf of the island during last fiscal year. Before we discuss some of the, okay, you do have that up here, just not over there. All right. Before we discuss some of those tactics that we deployed in the fiscal year, we thought it would be helpful to set a little bit of context with a quick review of our performance as it relates to the period from July 1, 24 to June 30, 25. So last time I was here, we had a great conversation about what were we thinking in the future and in the current year. Now I'm going to ask you to press pause and let's put our minds back in the last fiscal year. And as you'll recall from previous presentations, we still can't look at hotels for the island specifically. We just don't have enough in the data set. But we do have that access to vacation rental data, and that's a big component of our research investment. Let's see. There we go. All right. So what you see here are our vacation rental results for the fiscal year by month. And despite a hyper-competitive landscape, some of the things we talked about with the increased economic uncertainty, with the weather-related impacts last year when you're thinking about Debbie and Helene, the IOP submarket, much like the broader Charleston area, had a really good fiscal year '25. So this is looking at year over year. This next slide is year over year average daily rate, where we saw in occupancy, we saw an uptick of about 1.5%, but the even more significant growth was in rates. The rates grew about 6.5%. And when we look at that on a revenue per rental basis, which is another metric that we like to track, that was a total increase for the year, fiscal year of 9%. And that leads us to another high-level metric that we, of course, and Deborah look at extensively, and that is our state accommodations tax revenue, right, or our ATAX revenue as a whole. What we're presenting on today, of course, is the 2% state ATAX, but we do take and look holistically and take very seriously our role in generating all of these important tax revenue buckets, from sales tax to local local ATAX and, of course, county ATAX. When we look specifically at the state revenue generated for IOP by both the vacation rental revenue that I just referenced, as well as in combination to the hotel occupancy, we see that revenue grew last fiscal year back in line with what we had seen the prior fiscal year. So back towards the fiscal 22-23 levels. So on a macro level, it was a very good year for the island, and we want to now talk a little bit more about the tactics that we deployed to arrive at those outcomes. To help explain how we're going to structure that part of the presentation and set that stage, I'll turn it over to Laurie.
Thank you. How do I always get the spreadsheets? So this is a snapshot of our budget that we presented to you all for fiscal year 24-25 versus our actuals for the year. Now, I have the detail here that we offered to the city staff if you all would like that. Would you like that now? Will you still listen to the presentation? Or would you like it after?
We can do it after, it's fine.
Okay, all right. So you can see that in the advertising, and well, let me back up. This is the required reporting for the Tourism Expenditure Review Committee that is due each year by November 15th. In fiscal year 24-25, the CVB's 30% was that you all shared with us was just over $1.1 million. So turning to the TURC categories, in the advertising and marketing expense category, we had budgeted $529,000. We actually spent $684,000. And you'll hear more from our advertising and marketing team about the ins and outs of that. But essentially, most of that overage was in the digital space, in Google purchases and Meta. In the marketing support category, we had budgeted $215,000 and actually spent $131,000. Now, the reason for that decrease is because the branding campaign has been pushed to this fiscal year. So whenever that gets off the ground, we are here and ready to support it. That's not an initiative that the Bureau is driving, but it's something that we have factored into our budget. So that has carried over into the new fiscal year. Also, as you've heard, it's in the works now, and so that's something that reduced last year's actual expenditure that has been carried into the current fiscal year. You can see that in group sales, in media, and in visitor services, we exceeded what we anticipated. Now, for the rest of the presentation, I want you to think about our expenditures in a couple of different buckets. As you know, the formula that we are working from has to do with the island's share of inventory, of rooms inventory, as it relates to the entire county. And so I know it can get confusing when we're talking about multiple websites and multiple social channels. So I think I have found it easier to think about things in three buckets for the island. And that is, what are we doing specifically for the Isle of Palms? how is the island benefiting through our beaches and islands campaigns, which are a robust part of our strategy? And then how does the island benefit as it relates to the entire region? And so you'll see that theme throughout the rest of the presentation. Okay? From now, I'll turn it over to the folks who do the really sexy stuff. Adam.
Morning.
Morning.
It's not just me working on this, by the way. We have a, a whole team of folks over at Blue Ion. I'll talk a little bit more about specifically what some of them do here in just a minute. But keeping with the theme of what Lori was sort of saying, I wanted to give some examples of a few of the many websites that we have running for Explore Charleston. You can see we have a landing page specific to Isle of Palms there on the left side. There's one of those on the beaches site, which is an example of that there in the middle. There's also one on the main Explore Charleston site, which is over there on the right side. So just a couple top level numbers. For that page specifically, your Isle of Palms landing page, in the last fiscal year we had 228,000 people go and see that specific page. That's over 200,000 unique users. So we drive lots of traffic to that, and obviously the whole ecosystem around marketing drives people to that page and gets views of all the lodging on the island as well as some of the dining and things to see and do. That middle page is the other landing page on the beaches site. That one we drove 773,000 sessions, so combined almost a million, right at 1 million sessions total to Isle of Palms specific pages. 661,000 unique users to the beaches and islands page. Sorry for misspeaking earlier. So left side is IOP on Explore Charleston, middle is IOP on the beaches and islands site. And then on the right side, just for a little context, for Explore Charleston as a whole, we drove almost 5 million sessions and about 3.5 million users last fiscal year to the website.
We have a question from,
Sure.
I'll turn you up. You're not very loud. Hold on. Hold on. All right, go ahead now. You think you're good.
How does the 200,000 unique visitors compare to other attractions or destinations in the Charleston market?
Yeah, so I would say within the beaches that we advertise for, you all are the majority. I'd say you probably get about half of the total clicks. So you have the largest ATAX, so you get the largest marketing spend.
Thank you.
Sure. And we have specific campaigns to Isle of Palms on both Google and Meta, so that's Facebook and Instagram. I just wanted to show some examples of those ads. There are literally thousands of different ones, and thousands of ways to target audiences and geographic, demographic targeting, et cetera. So this is just a tiny example of what we're doing, but you can see Isle of Palms specific ads there on Google on the left side. So we have some that are all text. We have some that are images. We also advertise on YouTube. That falls under this bucket with video. So we're trying to really get in front of as many people as possible. And as you can see, 8.5 million people see ads that literally say Isle of Palms on there over the last fiscal year. 217,000 clicks from those specific ads. A little bit broader for the beaches and islands, so not necessarily calling out a specific beach, but just educating people that the Charleston area does have 5 beaches around. 22.3 million people saw those ads and 564,000 clicks into CVB-owned sites. And third, just another kind of more generic ad for the Charleston area. As a whole, 31.3 million people saw those in the last fiscal year, and we got right at 1 million clicks into the website just from Google. on the social side of things, this is Facebook and Instagram. Wanted to show some examples. Same as the last page, just on a different platform. So we really like this, How to Spend a Perfect Day on Isle of Palms video, and in fact, changed some of our goals and targeting on social media to try to get people to see, as many people to see this video as possible. So general ads, ads as a whole to IOP specifically, 14.6 million people saw those ads on the Meta platform, 229,000 clicks there. And for the video, I think this is really impressive. We had 2.7 million people see at least 15 seconds of the video, so it won't count as a view unless you've seen 15 seconds of the video. We have 15 and 30-second cuts of these. So lots of eyeballs there, which is awesome. Again, the more generic beaches and islands ads, that's just one example of I think we have 500 or 600 different versions of ads, specifically on Instagram. So 49.6 million impressions, 479,000 clicks to that, for that targeting. And then generally, just again as an example, that's another video that we like to push, and total advertising on Meta for Explore Charleston, 82.5 million people saw our ads, and 1.2 million people clicked into an Explore Charleston ad site. Any questions on that? So yeah, really proud of the performance here, and our goal, we have 3 people working every day in these accounts and are constantly changing targeting, pacing, the geographies, depending on time of year, depending on flight markets, drive markets, seasonality, et cetera. So yeah, there's always eyeballs on this, and we're always trying to spend the money as wisely as possible. Hand it off to Kat.
Good morning. Good to see y'all again. So let's talk about our good friend, over-the-top media streaming with Sinclair. As y'all might remember, we work locally with the Sinclair office and are able to do our TV buys from them, but not broadcast, all streaming. And it really lets us, as Adam said, dial in the same way we can with Meta and Google to find that right visitor that we want to come here. So we continue to run a beach-themed campaign as well as a general destination, and we are able to track those in the households. So for our beach and island campaign, we reached over 2.2 million individuals, as well as that video completion rate that Adam spoke to on the Instagram ads is just important for us. And the ability might frustrate y'all, but we love it that you can't skip our commercial when you're watching streaming. So we love those completion rates. And then on our general destination ad, we were able to reach over 9 million people. Going into this year, we are working harder than ever to give you even more data, and now the team at Sinclair locally is working with Adam and his team on even more crossover data that we can apply back to our website. So excited to see where that goes. And then continuing with Sinclair, we have been and will be again the sponsor for the Know Before You Go Beach campaign. And I think, according to the mayor and the other mayors at the meetings I've attended, y'all have been very happy with that, as have the local community. So we're happy to be the partner for that. Moving to print, if y'all remember, we have several in-house publications that we produce annually. The first one on the left is our destination planning guide, and that goes out to meeting planners, corporate planners, all those folks. And Isle of Palms has a dedicated page in addition to any of your hotel properties that might participate in that, along with our annual visitor guide, which we work very hard to get out the door, whether that's through our mail service or through our local visitor centers, our state welcome centers, and even local delivery now to local businesses. So y'all are getting well seen across all of those publications. And then just some other print and digital we've done this past year. The weddings market, which is pretty important to our friends at Wild Dunes. We have our own storefront on the Knot. And then the South Carolina Vacation Guide has a beach-specific messaging, and that goes out as well by mail to different trade shows, and they distribute all 9 state welcome centers. And then some other examples that we've been doing. We were a little sad to see AAA pull back on a lot of their print, but they did come back to us this year, and they did a travel guide for the South. So we have a great presence in there, and you'll see the Palms is represented. It's also a digital piece with live clicks through the URLs to each property. Continuing in print, now, we took a lot, we've said this before, we love taking your feedback in all of our print where we're doing spreads. No matter the time of year, we are getting those beach images in there to make sure people know that we have great local beaches. So you can see on the left, it's very clearly fall, but there's still the Isle of Palms Pier. And then on the right, a spring ad, but still wonderful pictures of what people can do here. And then one of my favorite things to geek out over are these numbers. We advertise specifically on Amadeus, which is the global distribution system, and that's the system that all travel agents have to book rooms through. I don't show you the ads because they're really ugly, because they fit their specific portal and system. But apparently they're working, because specifically to your Isle of Palms properties for this year, you had a growth in booked revenue on Amadeus, which is thousands of travel agents. You had a growth in booked revenue of 48% of your accommodations combined, and a growth in booked room nights of 23%. I was floored when I saw the 48%. I think that's amazing. Hope y'all are counting all those tax dollars coming back to you. And then on Signature, which is a boutique travel network that we advertise in, if I'm not mistaken, our team is at their show right now, right? Great appointment show as well. We're also able to track individual hotels' revenue. And you can see you had more double-digit growth on their network alone for your Isle of Palms properties. So that gets me happy. I hope it makes y'all happy too. And then the wonderful VRBO campaign. This is the numbers that we presented to y'all last time, because per y'all's wishes, that's a seasonal campaign. But please know that the $175,000 that we committed to spend this year as an increase has already kicked in. And I look forward to showing you even better growth for this program next year. But it's just a reminder, these are the ads that are on VRBO when people search beaches for either Isle of Palms, the Charleston area, even some of our competitors like Hilton Head, Savannah beaches, we're advertising against those terms too. So when they click this ad, it only goes to Isle of Palms rentals. That's what comes up in their query. There's no other beach featured. That's part of the ad campaign. And then they track those HP addresses, or IP addresses. So anyone that sees that ad and books within 30 days, that's where those metrics are coming from. Again, things that make me happy. And I'm going to turn it over to my friend Amy to talk about sales.
Hey, Kat, I have a quick question.
Yes.
The,
You want me to go back?
yes, so that on.
This one?
Amadeus,
Oh,
that-
yes.
That one, what do you think was, caused the increase in bookings to that number?
I like to think, and Amy might
Maybe more
agree.
travel agents?
I think there's a lot more agents getting into the market. I don't know about y'all, but I have more friends than ever on Facebook that are all of a sudden travel agents, and they're going on some really great trips. So I definitely think there's a trend growing in a return to that industry, but also the combined shows that we do, Virtuoso, Signature, ILTM. Those are all appointment shows where we're making relationships with those folks. And, you know, they might not have a client that's booking it tomorrow, very similar to a meeting planner, but we hope they always keep us in mind. And then a couple of our programs with some of our media partners like Travel and Leisure and Condé Nast give us other opportunities to mix and mingle with agents.
Great,
So,
thank you.
yeah.
All Dunes is a great partner with our travel advisors. And
Yes.
it pays a lot when our travel and leisure person goes out and does his shows. And his clients.
But those are specific to hotels?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
And the Palms is included in that as
Yeah.
well as Wild Dunes. So for Wild Dunes, it's the residences at Sweetgrass, the villas, and then the 2 lodging properties.
Quick
Yes.
question.
Yeah.
In the past, I looked at the budget, and it seemed like Sinclair was the most expensive of the marketing. I I'm not sure if it's the same way now. Is that because they do so much in print? Because it used to
Sinclair,
be.
no,
the
Sinclair
most-
is only digital, only TV.
Oh, Sinclair's only television?
Yes, ma'am, and that covers the entire U.S. and our direct fly drive markets, as well as that Toronto market, based on the flights.
Is that national or is that cable? Is that?
It's streaming.
Oh, it's streaming.
So Hulu, YouTube TV, all of those channels. Yes. And I can get, if you would like, I can provide a list back to the staff of the different outlets that those represent. We do have that in the report.
Oh, good.
Okay, I'm happy to send that to Douglas. Okay, no problem. Getting there. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I am Amy Calhoun, and I am the Assistant Director of Group Sales for Explore Charleston. It's always a little bit hard to follow Adam with his big numbers and Kat with her pretty pictures, but I know that my job would be a lot more difficult without them doing such a great job at what they do. So I'm a former hotelier, and I often think that a lot of people don't particularly understand what it means to sell group business in Charleston. So in a hotel, a group is generally a booking of 10 or more contracted rooms. And the reason that it is great is because once it is contracted, you can plan on it. So when you can plan on it, you know when to staff up, scale back, and you can make smarter decisions on how to run your business from that. Now, let me tell you how we at Explore Charleston attract all of that good group business and what it means specifically for the Isle of Palms. Between July 1, 24 and June 30th, 25, we hosted 5 familiarization tours, bringing meeting planners and travel advisors to Charleston so that they can experience the destination firsthand. After all, what a better way to inspire them to sell our region to the clients. Now, what I want to tell you is 5 doesn't seem like a big number, but that's not 5 individual people. That can be, for one example, a group of 37 meeting planners. That was counted as one familiarization trip, or 3 travel advisors that we counted as one. So that number does, and these are people that sell to either individuals in the travel advisor world or in the meeting planner world to different various groups, corporate association, what have you. So that number, while small, does have a greater impact. We attended 43 trade shows in key markets, actively promoting our destination to meeting planners, CEO, travel advisors, and anyone really willing to listen. And we welcomed 62 site visits where planners traveled to Charleston to explore our hotels, venues, and for the purpose of booking a group meeting. Those efforts resulted in 1,557 leads sourced for the Charleston area, representing a potential for just over 300,000 visitors and an estimated economic impact of $532 million. Now, when we dial that down and see what does that mean for Isle of Palms, specifically that translates into 406 leads, about 25% of the total lead volume coming to you guys, and approximately 6,000 visitors to your community. I want to take a moment to talk about our market mix, our mix of business. As Isle of Palms residents, I'm sure you can all appreciate that we're not just trying to bring more visitors for the sake of visiting. At Explore Charleston, we're focused on attracting the right kind of visitors, those who appreciate our destination and continue to positively impact our economy and infrastructure. Generally speaking, group business is actually quite gentle on infrastructure. These travelers typically fly in, meet, spend, and fly out, without putting undue strain on the local resources. From a meetings perspective, that means focusing. I skipped ahead. Over the past few years, Explore Charleston has made a conscious effort to target the higher yield visitor for meaning someone who stays longer and spends more. From a meetings perspective, that means focusing on corporate groups, such as sales kickoffs, incentive trips, and executive retreats. These events tend to generate a greater economic impact because attendees are often on expense accounts, with free evenings dedicated to client entertaining and networking, meaning they're getting out and they are dining in your restaurants, hopefully they're shopping in your shops, they're taking tours. As you can see in the graphs here, for the past 3 years, our SMRF market, which is social, military, education, religious, and fraternal, has remained steady at about 25%. Our corporate market has grown by 5%, and the association market has decreased slightly. That said, we never want to discount association meetings, as they often have bylaws requiring annual gatherings, which makes them a stable source of business, especially when the economy slows. While corporate meetings tend to deliver a higher per-person spend, association attendees are often paying their own way, resulting in lower individual spend but consistent demand. Between July 1, 24 and June 30th, 25, 64 group leads went definite for the Isle of Palms, resulting in an estimated economic impact of $13 million. That translates roughly into about 30% of all groups booking in Charleston booking on the Isle of Palms. Meetings mean business, not just for hotels, but for transportation companies, shops, restaurants, parks, attractions, and tour operators. It's the trickle-down effect that helps keep our entire community thriving. Explore Charleston is also proud to continue our partnership with the Isle of Palms through several meaningful projects. The IOP Thrives initiative, which began last year and continues into this year, fostering collaboration and long-term community benefits. The Walkability Study led by the Council of Governments, which I believe you'll be hearing more about later in this meeting. A new branding initiative for the Isle of Palms developed in partnership with an outside agency. As Lori mentioned, this project was not completed in the past fiscal year, but the money has been moved to this fiscal year so that it can begin. And our ongoing support and collaboration with Chandra Michael, Public Relations and Tourism Coordinator for the Isle of Palms. Chandra, it's truly been a pleasure working with you. On behalf of Explore Charleston, we wish you well in your new role. And that's it. Any questions?
Great, thank you. That do it for you guys, CDP? Great. Any questions from the committee to these folks? It was a great presentation.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you all for the thorough presentation for sure. Okay, if no other questions, we will move on to the next topic. Invite Ms. Catherine Basha from the, I'm not even going to try to do that acronym, to talk about the mobility study and discuss feedback from the open house / survey, and then gather any input that this group may have. Morning,
Berkeley,
Catherine.
Charleston, Dorchester Council of Governments.
Need some more letters.
Yeah.
We just say
Or
COG.
we just call BCD COG.
We just say COG.
COG.
I do anyway.
Yeah.
Fair.
Easy
There's 10
enough.
COGs in the state, so we try to put BCD in front of it if we can. I don't have a presentation. I just wanted to give you an update on where we were on the walkability, or what we're calling the mobility study, since we are looking at more than pedestrians. We've completed our field inventory to assess all the existing walking and biking facilities in the city, and have mapped all of that. And we're focusing the last couple months on the public outreach. As you know, we released a survey. We had 1,800 views of the survey. 463 surveys were actually completed. And then we've got hundreds of comments from those 463 surveys. So we're working to start compiling those and sort them into kind of groups of topics that need to be addressed. Of the survey respondents, 80% were residents and or property owners. We only had one business owner, which we were kind of surprised at. And we saw some peaks in the survey activity around when we first launched it, right when we were advertising the open house, and then right after the open house, we had some peaks in the survey use. So that closed on October 31st, and now we are starting to consolidate those survey comments and inputs along with what we got at the open house, and then we will put that and compare that to the data analysis that we did. In terms of the open house, if you were not able to attend, I did bring some printouts of the display boards if you want to still put some input on that, and you can leave them here at the City Hall and I can stop by and pick them up. It was interesting that in terms of the modes of transportation that people are using, it was very multimodal, everything from driving to walking and biking, but very few people use scooters or e-bikes, and I think that was because most of the people that responded were not under the age of 18. In terms of the modes of transportation that people are using, it was very multimodal. The most common reasons that people were walking or biking was for recreation. Is it getting the feedback?
I think that's, Amy, is that you or is that here? The echo, is that on your end? Is that here?
Sorry.
I don't think it's here. Okay.
Yeah, the most common reasons for walking and biking were either for recreation, leisure, or exercise. And the main destinations were going to the beach or to the marina or to the rec department. And then a lot of people also said that, you know, if they were going to do that, where they really wanted to have accessibility was to get to Front Beach or just any improved access points to the beach itself. The other things that we tried to gather at the, both in the survey and the open house was getting input on where there are safety concerns for using those facilities, where there are gaps and deficiencies in the facilities, where there's lack of connections or facilities that they feel just need some improvement. Most of the time we were hearing about the need for bike lanes, and it's interesting because they're pointing out where we have bike lanes. So I think it might be just a matter of improving the visibility and possibly having to work with SCDOT to update the paint a little bit. And then mainly getting a lot of input on where the types of new improvements are needed for non-motorists. Hearing about having the better bike lanes better signed, having them more protected. A lot of comments about not having bikes on Palm Boulevard, which is not surprising. Visibility of the crosswalks. People were saying improved, and then when we read into them, some of them are just talking more about visibility. Some people question the alignment between the beach access points and the streets, and I had to explain to some of our staff that that's just a matter of timing of when things developed. So it's not going to be perfect access, and I don't think we can go change easements across people's properties to do that. And sidewalk widening, not surprising on both Palm Boulevard and Waterway. So what we'll do now is we'll start sorting those comments and consolidating all of it once we look at the assessment to the facilities and see whether or not something we identified with the data does not match the what we heard publicly. We'll take a look at what we heard from the public, go back and reassess that facility, but we'll be presenting staff with a list of facilities that we think could be prioritized for making some improvements. And then we will, based on that, prepare some cost estimates for making those. So, any question?
Was there any questions at all about the having a crosswalk on Palm Boulevard at Charleston Boulevard, where the Boathouse Restaurant is? Because that is to me, and I've been here since 2002, the most congested intersection on Isle of Palms. You've got the merger of the Hunley Bridge, the Boathouse Restaurant, trying to find parking, the closed parking access because of the renovation beach equipment, the bikers coming over the Hunley Bridge at high speeds, turning, either going straight or most likely going into Charleston to cut through down 4th onto Ocean Boulevard. It's a thoroughfare through there, and there's just there, and the businesses that's beside the boathouse. It seems like it's as congested at times as Front Beach is, and I would, and maybe I need to be talking to the safety committee, but there needs to be some type of indicator of a crosswalk. 2 years ago, and it might have been 3, a lady was killed there with a head-on crash with trying to do a U-turn right in front of the boathouse and all that congestion. So I don't know if anyone mentioned that, or would I need to go to the safety council to have some type of sign? When I drive through Wild Dunes, they've got the new stop signs, which are wonderful. I mean, they flash, and you definitely know when you need to stop. And if we could put something even in yellow, caution, flashing, because again, the bikers don't know that cars are backing out of driveways. They're coming down to where they cannot. They're going so fast, they cannot stop. So we really need to look into that intersection at the Boathouse Restaurant, in front of the Boathouse Restaurant and Hunley Bridge.
Okay, good. Yeah, we've been, one of the data sources of DOT's data set that talks about fatal and serious injury crashes, both for cars and then for non-motorists. So I don't remember that one showing.
There are misses every day between bicycles and cars, and the bicycles are more the problem, but because they are going, it's not like they were going on Palm Boulevard to where they could stop. They're coming across the bridge. They can't see until they get to the top of the bridge and over, and that's where the problems are. And when people were parking, had that access to parking across from Boathouse Restaurant, they were pulling out in front of the bicyclists that were coming across the bridge. So it's to me, and that's only to me, I don't have statistics, the most dangerous intersection on the island.
Okay, that's good.
So that is the type of feedback that the Council of Governments is trying to get in their kind of analysis of all the issues. Is there a best method for her to get that to the Council of
Well,
Governments? or
I
you
just
wanna
wrote it down, but, so we'll make sure we note it.
Okay.
But
That's the
why I
type
made
stuff
the
they're
printout.
compiling,
Yeah.
those lists and requests and observations, like what you've brought up, are being compiled into a report that they'll provide back. So sounds like we've got it on the list of
Right.
things to look at.
But I will leave these printouts from the displays at the open house if you were not able to make it, if you want to. Like I said, I live on the island, so if you want to fill it out and drop it here, I can stop by any morning and pick it up on the way to work.
Be more than happy to.
Any other questions or comments for Catherine? I think it's a great study. I think one of the reasons that that this group is probably as engaged as anybody is because one of the things we see is an opportunity. I think you and I talked about it at the rec center, was the opportunity to maybe, as we make capital improvements, to use this as an opportunity to do some beautification. So if the DOT or whomever does an intersection, that maybe there's a chance that we could have a way to visually enhance it a little bit. So there's a lot of folks on this committee that are interested in beautification, in a hope to put more heads in beds, have just a softer visitor experience. And so there's a pretty keen interest on our side as to what the recommendations are, and then how, once that starts to happen, how we can support that.
Correct. And so we're the Metropolitan Planning Organization, another mouthful, where all the federal transportation funds come through our office. So we work with DOT all the time. And as you know, the more public background that you have to why you want an improvement, the easier it is to get things on DOT within their right-of-way. So, I mean, a lot of this is within DOT right-of-way. So we'll work very closely with them as we're getting into the cost estimates. We're doing some work with them on for the transportation sales tax. So we'll pivot and pull them in on a little bit and get some input and try to push them on that.
Yeah, it just so happens that the intersection that Rebecca's mentioning is also kind of the gateway onto the island. It's got the city's welcome sign. So I don't know if there's an opportunity to kind of do multiple things, beautify the entrance, and improve or calm traffic a bit. So that might be a good priority because it could achieve multiple different things.
Yeah, I don't think we look at it always as an interest of the island, but it really
Right.
is. I mean, people
Right.
think about, like Chris was saying, coming over the connector and having that visual experience, but coming across Breach Inlet is pretty awesome too, so.
Well, if you go Google Maps, they'll bring you in on Sullivan's Island. If you're going to Isle of Palms, instead of taking you across the connector, they're taking you down.
Jasper, yeah.
Yes, they're taking you down Jasper. So that is a entrance, yes.
And there's a lot of conflicting movements going on there, so.
Yes.
Great. Thank you, Catherine.
Sure.
Thank you, Catherine.
So I think we've got, the next item on the agenda is a discussion and consideration of future beautifications project. I think that was more related to this, the walk, the mobility study, but if there's anything anybody wants to bring up, if there's any further discussion at this point in time, I think we've kind of covered that. Everybody good? Okay. All right, the next item is any new business, any motions for new business? I'm trying to get it right, Nicole. I see you down there furiously writing, but.
Well, you can't really ask for new things like that, but I will say that the next item is your meeting date,
Yeah.
which would be sometime after the first of the year. And what I'll do is review with Douglas timeline for when we're going to open applications for next year's sponsorships. So we already have it. I just have to kind of go through it and adjust the dates
Okay.
for the new year, and I can send that to you guys, and we'll base our meeting schedule on that. So my guess is unless something happens, it would be February before we would meet again.
Okay.
So we're not going to meet December or January?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't think there's not much to discuss, and it's a busy time anyway. I mean, if you feel a need to meet, I think that's fine, but I think we can push to February.
Should be the same board makeup next year as well, so that, hopefully will help with continuity, not
Yeah.
having kind of new members. So be good to start, I guess, in February, and we'll go from there.
Sounds good. Great. Well, thanks for everyone for being here. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.